is a group known as the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and they're doing a study into the active ingredient in ecstasy, MDMA, and how it could treat veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, now this is interesting because you hear about ecstasy. It's been basically outlawed by our government. It was outlawed in 1985, and it's considered one of the most dangerous drugs, right?
Danger. It gives you ecstasy.
But it turns out this organization, otherwise known as MAPS, has been doing studies into it, and through their studies they found that the active ingredient in ecstasy can actually be very beneficial to those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's also beneficial to people who are looking to get really high. But anyway, yes. All right, but this is a serious story, yes.
No, but it is a serious story. I'm a little skeptical because I just know that MDMA has some serious side effects, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, MDMA releases serotonin and dopamine in your brain. It gives you this elevated feeling of euphoria. It also subdues the amygdala, which is the fear center in the brain. So of course that's something that's necessary for people who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because they're suffering from fear, you know, and I think that this is an interesting study. I'm glad they're doing it. What they did is they looked at 20 people. A few of them were given a placebo. The rest were given the MDMA. And this was a 4-month-long treatment. And they found that 80% of those who were given the MDMA improved with their post-traumatic stress disorder. However, of course, more studies need to be done to see what the long-term effects of, regular use would be.
Look, I'm concerned about the long-term effects too, because if you mess with your brain long enough, you're going to have issues, right? And this is pretty powerful stuff, right? At the same time, their brain has already been messed with by the trauma. That's why they have PTSD, right? And so what they're trying to do is correct it. Now, it's tough, and like Anna says, you'd have to go for a while to make sure that it's safe in the long run, right? But is it worth experimenting with? Absolutely. Is it worth trying out to see if it's helpful to those patients? Absolutely. And 80% is a huge number.
80% is a huge number, and I agree with you. I'm in favor of testing it. I think it's important to test it because it could be a breakthrough. But at the same time, the one thing that I'm concerned about is we keep on depending on prescription drugs to help people that have mental illnesses, right? Or people who are suffering from, let's say, ADD or post-traumatic stress disorder, or people who are suffering anxiety disorders, things like that. I think that there's still value in talk therapy, and we've moved away from that so much, and we're starting to depend more and more on pharmaceutical companies giving us drugs. And
well, generally I agree with you, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, I don't, because they've suffered some significant trauma. And it's not like Freud's going to come in there and go into his laboratory and all of a sudden come out with and say like, hey, listen, buck up. It's going to be all right.
Okay, talk therapy is a little more sophisticated than that.
Let's go grab an ice cream sandwich. You're going to be all right, dog. Okay? No, I mean, I think that there has been some chemical trauma. Again, damn it, Jim, I'm not a doctor. I'm a talk show host. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'd be surprised if talk therapy alone worked for a majority of those patients.
And I'm not saying it should be talk therapy alone, but I think that should at least supplement what they're trying to do. We shouldn't solely depend on prescription drugs, which is what we're moving toward, and I think that's a really bad thing.
At the same time, I don't want to be granola and be like, if you just... What the Native Americans did was they ground up the spinach and then added a little bacon and then blue cheese. They called it a Cobb salad, but it works great.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything organic, so I went to Cobb salad. Okay, anyway, so look, my bottom line, if I had post-traumatic stress disorder, I'd be like, hit me up with some of that X, man. Let's keep it real, okay? I would do some experiments in my laboratory